Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share my heart a little bit with you and the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing. We've got an awful lot that draws us together as Republicans. And I support the Republican platform. Wholly, truly. Protection of the unborn, the defense of Second Amendment rights. I have a personal opposition to Common Core and a support for school choice. But when I go throughout the district and I talk to the people about what's affecting their lives each and every day, so much comes down to the economy. Excessive taxation in businesses that make it difficult for companies to grow and thrive, that limit the opportunities for our residents. Property taxation that could have been done so much better, in my opinion, or maybe eliminated altogether. Excessive regulation that makes everything from businesses to farming almost impossible to do effectively, efficiently, profitably. And so what are we left with? We're left with a Blair County that I love, that has wonderful people, a beautiful area, and yet the opportunities are dwindling and our children have to leave to find those opportunities. Well, I think we need to grow the economy. It's a singular aspect of pulling almost everything that plagues us right now into a single issue. If we don't make it easier for businesses to thrive and grow in Blair County and in Pennsylvania as a whole, we're going to continue to see the tax base shrink, and we're going to continue to see our children leave. And that's no kind of future for Pennsylvania. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to stand up for individuals and for businesses that just want to make Pennsylvania their home and make it a better place. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your vote on May 15th.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Gregory, and I am here tonight to ask you for your vote on May 15th, running for the State House of Representatives of the 80th District. Thank you very much for coming out to hear the candidates give you their thoughts. I look forward to being able to give you my thoughts on why I'm looking forward to doing this today. And I share with you that earlier today I was in the plaza of the county courthouse here in Blair County, recognizing the importance of the 67th Annual National Prayer Day. And as we stood there and we prayed together and we recognized the importance of the freedoms that we have to practice the religion that we want in this country, it certainly brought to bear and brought to my mind how important it is that we recognize the word that they talked about today. And that one word was unity. And the definition of unity is one. And when I talk to you about the Republican Party tonight, I want you to know that we need to be able to work together as one, as a party. We need to be able to recognize how important it is that we are basically facing very difficult times in many of the things that are held dear to the Republican Party in this country. In this county, we have an ability to do great things as a Republican Party, but we need to make sure that we are working together. I want to tell you just one other quick thing, very, very important to me, that when it comes to the 3 C's, whether it's conservatism, Christianity, I'd like to tell you that I am as conservative as any good Republican can be. Pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, less regulation, less business as far as regulation on business and being pro-business, but also when it comes to Christianity. Reborn, February 2010. My life changed back then. And it changed for me in such a way that without Jesus Christ in my life today, I would not be able to stand here before you tonight. And finally, commitment, the 3rd C. We can talk about who's more Christian, who's more conservative, but I'd like to think that tonight I will separate myself for you among the candidates as the person who is most committed to doing this job for the people of the 80th District. So thank you for the time tonight. Thank you for the committee to put this together, and I really look forward to being able to share with you all of our thoughts about what makes this such a great opportunity to run in this area. So thank you very much.
Call upon Judy Ward this time.
Thank you.
you, Dave, and thank you all for coming out this evening. It really lifts my spirits to know that so many people really care about the elections and candidates and want to become more informed. And so I thank you all for taking time to come out this evening. I set out 4 years ago on a journey. I wasn't sure where I was going. I didn't know if I packed the right things. I don't know if I even knew the way. But once I arrived, I worked hard, and I got to know the people, places, and issues. I worked with my fellow Republicans, and I've also worked across the aisle. I've gotten to know people in the administration and the different secretaries, and I've brought several of those folks in to the district to speak to my constituents and the area. Veterans, and Secretary Redding was in this very building a few weeks ago talking to our ag community. I'm known as a conservative and a staunch supporter of the rights of the unborn, as well as the freedoms that are so important to our area. I've been able to help many, many people in my office. I've put together a top-shelf staff that is constituent-driven. With Senator Eichelberger leaving the 30th District, we need to keep the strong conservative voice that he has provided. I bring the proven conservative leadership that is expected and enjoyed in the 30th District. I've been a Republican volunteer for many, many years, worked in the party, worked on state committee. I've helped get many other Republicans elected. I would appreciate your consideration and your support on May 15th. Thank you.
Call upon Diane Kiss at this time.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Lois, for putting this on tonight, and mostly thank you all for being here. It's not quite a packed house, but it's pretty darn close, and it's nice to see that there's so many people who still care about participating in the Republic and still care about the people who want to go to work for you. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because we need people who want to work for you. Not people who are interested in other ideas, whether it's working down with the groups in Harrisburg, taking the special interest money, or setting up their own dynasty. You need people to work for you. I have my wife here with me tonight. She's been amazing with me through this entire process, and I can't thank her enough. Unfortunately, she did not bring cookies, as most have come to expect at this point. Lois had you asked. She baked 9 dozen last night, so that we had them available. You just had to ask us. Maybe next week we can do that. But the reason I got into this, folks, is because we need people who care again. We need people who are willing to listen, who are willing to work, who are willing to come back into our communities, not to talk about themselves, not for a photo op and a parade, but to ask you, what can I go work on for you? You're going to hear different answers from different candidates tonight. I ask you to put aside any preconceived notions, anything you might have heard, and sit and listen to what they have to say. See who has real ideas, real plans, and who talks to you in buzzwords, and who dances around issues. Because you're going to see a difference between the candidates all up here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe that that is why that I am the right candidate for the Senate in this area. And that's why I'm going to ask you to vote for me on May 15th. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start with the first question. The first question is to Jim Gregory. What things economically do you think are working well, and what things need to be changed? And if you propose new initiatives, how do you plan to pay for them?
Am I coming up on my
Sure.
screen
You
here? You know, I've been here for 33 years, and I've had a chance to see a lot of things, a lot of changes in Blair County from the time that I arrived here, when there was barely a fast food restaurant in town, and now look at what Blair County looks like. We have I-99, we have a ballpark, we have new business, we are a destination. We have an area that people love to come to, because when you recognize the importance of Blair County and the industries in Blair County that make us great, a lot of people don't recognize the importance of tourism. You know, tourism is the second most important industry in Blair County. People love coming to Blair County from outside this area. What we need to do is recognize, how did we get here? Some of the things that got us here are the things that we've lost the last several years. I think what we've lost is our voice in Harrisburg to let people know that when we send our tax dollars to Harrisburg, we'd like to see them come back here. They're going everywhere else. Why are they going everywhere else? We need to make sure that we have a voice in Harrisburg that is telling people that we want to have our share of the pie coming back here, because we need help. We are the rural part of Pennsylvania, and we need to make sure that our voices are being heard. So when I think of some of the things that we can change, or some of the things that can stay the same, we're going to see a lot of faces changing. With the elections this year, we need to make sure that we're working as a team down there. And also, I think there are some things that we can do to make our economic development people more relevant, and I'll be able to talk about how we can do that as the event goes on. So thank you.
Judy Ward? Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to go state representative. I'm sorry. Chris Creek. My apologies, Judy.
Well, when I was thinking about what are those things that are working in Blair County, the first thing I thought of was the people of Blair County. And I had the privilege to work with a lot of the hardest working people I've ever met in the agriculture industry. These are people to whom a 40-hour week, or even a 60 or 80-hour week sometimes, is a foreign concept, particularly this time of year. Right? But another thing that seems to be working very, very well in the Commonwealth is the growth of government. In fact, if you take a look at the growth of government, government seems to be expanding at a faster rate than the rest of the economy. And while that might be good if you're in the government, to me that seems like that's one of the things that needs to change. And so we need to throttle back the growth of the government, and we can't just cut our way to prosperity. We literally need to find a way to grow the economy of the region, of the district, and of the Commonwealth, so that we can afford to have the nice things and the positive things and the programs that people seem to be demanding. But if we throttle back the economic engine of the Commonwealth, we can't allow that to happen. So, regulations need to be evaluated and see which ones are throttling back and choking out our industries, choking out agriculture. We need to fast track projects in agriculture. If it's a 10 seconds. I think you heard the gist of what I wanted to say, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
I'll tell you what isn't working. Our governor. He's not working. We need a new governor. He has been very detrimental to business in Pennsylvania. We have high taxes. We have lots of regulations. We have long wait times for permits. And it's a detriment to business in the area. We need to be a right-to-work state. And some of the things that are going well, I think, are the people. We have hard-working people in the area. And they want a job, and they want to work hard and support their families. And we're very blessed in that way. We also are fortunate that we have an economic development team. We've got a tremendous economic development team here, and also in some of the areas in the 30th. I've met some of those folks from Fulton and Franklin, and they're working very, very hard to have economic development in their areas. Thank you.
Dan Fisk?
Can you make sure you don't knock the mic around?
Yep. Won't count again.
I think even more so than the governor, we have a government that is not working. We have a government that every single year raises the budget. Why? We have historic Republican majorities in both the State House and the State Senate, and they can't send the governor a budget that cuts back our belt. That's not just on Governor Wolf alone, that's on every last one of them down there who can't send a budget that cuts back like you and I have to cut back when we get that tax bill, whether it comes from the state or the local areas. Government's not working, and we need people down there again who are going to hold government responsible on every single level. We start with zero-based budgeting and make these executive groups show us how and why they want to spend your money. The same way that you and I budget back home with our checkbooks each month. Money coming in, money coming out. Harrisburg needs to do that again, and our government, all branches down there, have not gotten that job done. What's working well? You are. The business owners, the farmers, those who work in businesses. You're doing well, but we can help you. We can help you by cutting regulations. We can help you with common permitting so that you don't have to apply to 20 different agencies in Harrisburg to get the same thing done. We can help you by lowering our state corporate tax rate, which is the highest or the second highest in the country. Do those things and we'll have better economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next question, we're going to be starting with Judy Ward. And the question is, aside from the arming of teachers, what other proposals would you have to make our schools safer, and how would you propose to pay for these proposals? Judy?
I have a bill that I introduced with one of my Democratic counterparts, and we worked together on it, and it would, it's kind of interesting. We said, we check our students in 6th and 11th grade, they get a physical. They get their ears checked, they get the hearing, the vision, the dental, they get all of that checked, but no one ever checks their mental health. And I think there's so many young people out there that are hurting. And I think we came up with the idea that they would have a mental health checkup in 6th grade and in 11th grade. The results, they would take a screening and the results would go to their doctor. They would not be shared with the school, but it would help the parents to know if there's a problem and something that needs further issues and further counseling. And I think that's a big thing. I did also sign on to a bill that would have schools would come out, schools would have one central check-in. And then there would be armed personnel there, and there would also be a metal detector, because I think parents and children need to feel safe, and teachers as well need to feel safe. Thank you.
Call upon Dan Kish.
What's not going to work is throwing more money at it. That's what's not going to work. So how do we make our schools a little bit safer without arming teachers, which actually, in some regards, I'm in favor of if they're willing to get the proper training. Number one, locking doors. Doors that lock from the inside, not the outside, so we can reduce the ability of people who wish to do harm within our schools of gaining entry. That's first and foremost. Secondly, and a lot of schools have moved into this method of doing things, having armed police officers, whether they hire their own security officer or whether it's from their local municipality, attached to the school full-time all day. Just about every school has a main entrance, and utilizing an officer at that main entrance is likely to stop a lot of these things from happening. There's no way to perfectly prevent things. You can have people waiting across the street. You can have what happened in Westmoreland County a couple of years ago where they didn't use a firearm, they used a knife. There's never going to be a perfect way. You start with that, but more importantly, like they tell us with terrorism, see something, say something. Make sure that you're monitoring your own kids' Facebooks, Instagrams, Snapchats, whatever the case may be. And if you see something of your children or someone else's, say something. Get back involved in our kids' lives, and we can stop some of these problems. Thank you. Call upon Chris Creed.
This can be a very divisive issue, especially when you start to bring people in from the other party. And while I personally think that gun-free school zone signs have made our students less safe, and I'd like to see them go away, there are some things that we all agree on. And that is that as our most valuable, precious resource, our students have to be protected. And I think we pretty much all agree that at least, if nothing else, armed school resource officers are something that just about everybody agrees on. So let's do those things that we can all agree on first, and then we'll think about those other things that maybe are more divisive topics. But primarily, we need to make sure that we have local control of the schools, so that if a school wants to do something further, we give that school board the authority to go ahead and do that. And it's interesting, I had an opportunity to speak with some superintendents locally, and we talked about school security, and it kept coming back to student engagement. Because it's these disengaged students that aren't really part of the process that fall through the cracks and become the shooters. And so we need to figure out what it is that's got them so disengaged. I know technology and various other things, and there's psychological issues, but we need to address those issues, because frankly, I think it's that student engagement issue that is at the heart of most of our addiction problems too. And if we can fix that problem, I think we can fix a lot of problems. And ultimately, we also need to give our law enforcement the tools that they need, that if we see some red flags, that they have the ability to take action. Not what we saw in Parkland. They have to actually be able to go in and do something when we see something that has to be done. Thank you.
I find myself probably the most uniquely qualified to talk about this subject as a school board member in Hollidaysburg. And from our last school board meeting, as we sat and we listened to Officer McGee give us a description of how well the Hollidaysburg School Board is paying attention to the security issue in the school district, and the presentation that they made to tell us how safe our school is. It is never going to be perfect, but I wish I could take the presentation that they gave us for how safe the Hollidaysburg schools are, because we have one entrance into each school, we have 2 resource officers, we do risk assessment, we also provide training once a week to let students know how to handle situations. We have done a very good job through the administration and the staff to making sure that we have security provided for Hollidaysburg. However, the problem is, it's about local control. We have so many schools in Pennsylvania that we can't possibly expect all of them to be able to handle security the way we have been able to in one particular school district. As I've traveled around the district, and I've gone to every school district school board meeting, and I walk into a school that is held open by a piece of wood to let people in because they want to feel like it's not going to be a problem for them. This is not the new normal. This is the new normal that we have to expect, that anything can happen here in rural Pennsylvania, and if we aren't prepared for it, God forbid that something happens here. So I really like to see that we can continue to provide resource officers in schools, and we will also be able to talk more about that a little bit later on. Thank you.
The next question, and Dan Kiss will be giving the first response. We have seen a decrease in the percentage of skilled laborers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. What steps would you propose to encourage increased participation in the skilled labor trade? Dan?
My whole family is in that area. My grandparents were both coal miners, my grandfathers were. My dad works in a factory right now, defense contractor factory, building weapon stations for our troops so they're not getting exposed and shot when they're hunting the bad guys. My mom's a secretary. So I get it. We need more people in those fields. I chose the route of law because I felt that I could work best and give back best in that community. That's not for everybody. And the idea that we're currently pushing in public schools and public education, that college is the only route for people and is the best route for people, is not right. Many, 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 many people going to trade schools make a lot more money than just about everyone coming out as a senior in college. There's more money to be made there as a lifetime, and there's less taken on in loans and in debt. We need to encourage kids while they're still in high school. Give them that option, show them that opportunity, and not just say you have to go to college. There's a lot better options out there. Show them the way, give them the option. Get shop class back in public schools. Get home ec back in public schools. You start doing those kind of things again, and you're going to show kids in high school that there's more to life than just college. Thank you.
Ms. Creed?
Who'd ever thought when I was in high school that eventually I'd know some people in skilled trades making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year. Very skilled people who put those skills to work and eventually created a successful business and taught other people to do what they do and built that. I certainly wouldn't have, because in my school I was taught that if I wasn't a teacher or an engineer, I wasn't using the resources that God had given me. Well, it shouldn't be any surprise to us that an education system that is built on academics would espouse the principles of academics. Well, when I married my wife, she had a little bit different philosophy of education. I'm a public school boy from K to 12. And my wife was a homeschooler, and we became homeschoolers. I didn't have a choice in the matter. And we've been teaching our kids that there are all kinds of opportunities for people who are willing to look for them. I've got an entrepreneur who has done everything from, he's farming this year. We're going to grow some pumpkins and he's going to sell them at the auction. But he sold worms for fishermen and he's done various other things. He opened up a little store and sold soda and snacks and different things. You know, we need to help our kids understand the opportunities that are available to them that don't require a four-year degree. I was real fortunate to be involved in an organizational event in the last 2 days teaching 7th graders about opportunities in agriculture. And these kids' minds were completely open to things that they had never seen before. If we want them to take these opportunities, we need to tell them that they're available.
You're looking at the son of a plumber. My dad, at 78 years of age, is still working as a plumber. He has provided me the kind of life, my brother, my sister, my mom, the kind of life as a plumber that I can recognize the importance of being in the trades. Unfortunately, in the state of Pennsylvania, we've had governor after governor give lip service to how important the trades are, but they have not delivered on those words. And until they start to deliver on those words and how important it is to be able to emphasize to young people how important these trades are, we're really not going to be able to capitalize on how well these students can take advantage of these opportunities. And as far as the parents' role in this, there are a lot of parents, and I know a mom and a dad in my life actually, who talk to me about how important it is to go to college. If they had asked me about going to the trades, and they did, I asked my dad, well, when are you going to teach me the business? And he said, nuh-uh. This is the toughest job that you'll ever have as a plumber. You're going to college. Now, that worked out for me. But for those students, those kids, and the parents that they talk to, they need to be able to listen to them and allow them to speak about what they really want to do. Try and harness their passions for what they want to do, that it's not an automatic pass into college. And so if they can do that, make sure that there's communication between the kids and the parents to make sure that they really are going to do what they are going to make them happy and not make them rich. Thank you.
I'm sorry. No, go. I'm losing track of the order.
Okay. Well, it sort of begins with all of us, doesn't it? I mean, we all need to encourage all sorts of trades. And I think for so long, people thought college was the way to go. And I sort of laugh, you know, if you look around, we have a lot of successful tradesmen. I would say, you know, if you want to know how things are going, look at your plumber's house. You know, look at the contractor. And some of these trades are, I mean, they're very lucrative. And it's a great career for them. I think we need to encourage our children. I think we need to, in career fairs, career fairs get kind of caught up with, the college-educated people for the career fairs. We need to bring ag into the career fairs, and we need to bring truck drivers and tradesmen and all sorts of people into our career fairs and introduce our students, our young people, to what's out there. Thank you.
And we're back at the top of the batting order, I guess. The next question is, what can you suggest as incentives to help keep our young people here after high school graduation or return to the area after graduation from college? I believe it's Jim.
I'll go. One of the things that I think is most important for young people to learn as they want to venture out in life and their profession is that it is okay to leave the area and experience what's out there. Because what we're focusing on now in Pennsylvania, in central Pennsylvania and here in our area is boomerangers. Being able to understand that it is possible for young people to leave here, experience things elsewhere, and bring those experiences back to us so that they can bring those experiences and help make this area better from their experiences. So boomerangers are one of those things that when they leave and they come back, it is a good thing for this area because they can then tell the story of the people that are still out there that this is a good place to come back to. Incentivizing is one of the things that is important, but we already have a lot of good things for people to stay here but also to come back to. So I want people that leave here to enjoy life, to be able to understand that there are things they can learn outside of here, but when they're out there, they remember where they grew up. They will never forget how safe it is here, how possible it is to be successful here. Some of the things that we do need to improve are internet access and broadband so that they can reach out to the global markets and be successful with that. But we do need to just remind them that this is a great place to come back to. And they will boomerang back when they realize that where they're at isn't as great as where they are today. Thank you.
Ward.
To me, it's pretty simple. We need a strong economy. We have to be able to have jobs here to come back to. And really, that's what's going to bring them back. I do agree with Jim, and it's great for our young people to go out and experience other things, and it does make them appreciate the beauty and the people here in our area. And I think so many of them want to come back, but the jobs aren't there. So that's something we need to really push hard for, and I'm very committed to economic development. So thank you.
Dan, yes?
I think when we're looking to bring and keep young people to our area, we have to look at two different things. One is what both Ms. Ward and Mr. Gregory talked about, which is jobs. Now, how do we do that? I've spoken about it earlier. The best way to create new jobs is to lower the corporate tax rate in this state and reduce the regulations in this state. You do those two things, even a little bit, and small business owners around here aren't going to go buy a beach house. They're going to hire 3 guys. And they're going to give them real, decent paying jobs in this town, in this community. They're putting tax dollars back in this community. You lower their regulations so that they don't have to work so hard to do their job, and you'll see a big increase in the jobs in this area. But more so than that, we need affordable housing for young folks. I was one of the founding members of the Young Professional Group over in Johnstown, and in addition to the fun stuff, the happy hours and stuff like that, we volunteered. We got out, we worked in our communities. But what kept us there? What I heard most from most folks over there that I worked with for many, many years was good housing. Having the opportunity to put roots down. When you put roots down, you tend to stick around. There's lots of houses for sale. As many political signs out there right now, there are houses for sale signs. So how do we fix that? Allow the opportunity for younger folks to get into housing without all the requirements that we currently require. Maybe give them a little bit of break on their property taxes for the first couple years. If they stick around, it's forgiven. If they don't, they pay it all back. Give them the chance to earn enough money to stay around here. That's two ways that we can do that. We do those two things, and we will have more young folks stick around. Thank you.
The next question is going to be for...
Would anybody like to hear my answer?
Yes. Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. That's what, would you give me an extra minute and a half for that?
Sure.
So, I've had a wonderful opportunity to travel over several continents, and this is the honest truth, I've never been to a more beautiful place than Blair County. I've been to some places that are, right there, but in terms of living and working in an area, I can't think of any place that I'd rather be. And the neat thing is we've got a lot of other opportunities here. We've got outdoor recreation, and we've got music and culture, museums, great restaurants. But ultimately, it's housing and jobs that make people come and live and stay in an area. And we need to ask ourselves, what is it that our young people are leaving for? And it's got to be opportunity. So, if we have a lack of opportunity, what is it that's keeping that from happening? Well, from my perspective, it can only be the excessive taxation and regulation that we have. And I applaud Dan's idea that property tax forgiveness, I think that's a neat idea. I'd like to see us abolish property tax totally. I think it's an unconstitutional and really an immoral taxation. I think there's other ways to pay for government. We have to be realistic, though. So let's start by rolling back some of the regulations that are keeping our businesses from growing, that are keeping... I had somebody come to me and says, why are all these Marcellus shale companies from Texas? Well, it's because Pennsylvania regulation and taxation won't allow them to be here. We need to identify what those regulations are and taxes are that are keeping those businesses from headquartering here, and we need to tell people that Pennsylvania is open for business, and the opportunities will come.
Next question, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is for Judy Ward. Judy, the question is, do you support the elimination of the property tax? And if so, what is an equitable way to fund public education?
I am in favor of property tax elimination. And with our recent ballot referendum, that has sort of been a game changer. And now there are probably in the last 2 weeks, at least 3, maybe 4 different proposals have come out. Most of them involve an increase in the personal income tax. But overall, every area you hear, everywhere you go, all over the state, you hear that people are really struggling with property taxes, and we really need to get that done, and we need to get it right. I think it's been, up till now, it's been a difficult lift, but now with this, things have sort of changed. So we've got a lot of proposals out there, and what we're trying to do is get the numbers right. But I'm very supportive, and I believe that it's going to happen very, very soon. Thanks.